Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And we're glad you're here. I say that every week and I mean it. We're glad you're here. Glad.
I feel like this week you mean it more. There's a sincerity in your voice that is just palpable.
It's true. Just a little bit more. I am thrilled that you are here, whether you're listening to us in audio land or checking us out live on the podcast, or if you're just watching it on YouTube, after we release the episode. We're glad you're here.
Right. However you consume us, we're glad you consume us.
Agreed. Yeah. Most pleased that you consume us. It's been great. We're up to 217 subscribers on YouTube, which is awesome. Picked up a few from some of our silly shenanigans, which is great. So thank you for the support.
Good stuff.
Like I said, on our way to partner, and monetization is a big deal. It's a real big deal. I heard rumors that possibly YouTube may be reducing their requirements to become partner, and that they're actually going to try to compete with TikTok to really monetize shorts. So,
interesting. That's interesting.
Supposedly, like one of the heads of YouTube said, if you're a short form content creator, YouTube's going to be the place you want to be, which kind of hints that they're going to try and be competitive. So,
look, it makes sense, right? Like that's the place. That's the next step for YouTube to go. Twitch is kind of the last real big competition they have. And
YouTube is just taking their time with that. They're like, we'll slowly but surely get to where we need to be with it. It's not, it doesn't have all the features, and they're buying the talent from Twitch. So, they're paying and buying out their contracts and bringing them over. So slowly but surely, I don't know. Twitch doesn't seem, based on some of the experts I've seen, it doesn't seem like it's long-term going to be the most viable way to go about things. So
do you think Twitch will eventually die?
I think, Amazon owns it, and
no.
Amazon, I think Amazon wants money out of it, so I think Twitch is making some poor long-term decisions to squeeze revenue out that will ultimately drive people away, but Amazon's like, give me that money. I've been supporting you for a long time, and we need to finance
this fucking Lord of the Rings series we got now. And Jeff needs to go to space again, so come on, bring in that sweet Twitch money.
That's right, got to bring it in. So I don't know. I think the Twitch community is pretty cool. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Who knows? I mean, just people are. There always seems to be some sort of fucking drama going on over there every goddamn day. But the bells and whistles of Twitch is always fun, and I hope YouTube eventually will kind of gather the same sort of force and put that in place. It just makes sense for us to be here. Sometimes I miss Twitch just because I feel like we started developing a pretty cool community over there.
We did.
It was nice to raid and things like that. But at the end of the day, just Practical Doug just knows, this makes the most sense, man. This is where we post our content. This is where we post our shorts. It makes sense just to have everything here. So,
and that it's down the road. This is where it's going to be. So to get there before that happens, that's only a benefit.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was hesitant at first, but now I'm like, I'm glad we're here. Yeah. Jared said YouTube needs to step up their game. Yeah, they do. I think they're getting there. I think I'd like to see them move a little faster, but slowly but surely, they're adding some stuff in there. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. There's rumors that possibly they're going to have the requirements to become a YouTube partner, which would put us in a really good position. So much closer.
Right. Yeah. That would put us, I don't want to do math. That would put us closer. You're right.
Yeah. Jared goes, I want to send you sound bites when you play. Yeah. I missed that stuff. I missed the points that people could cash in.
That stuff was cool as shit. Yeah. I will say that stuff was cool.
I greatly missed that. So hopefully we'll see some of that stuff, and it'll be pretty cool.
I got to say, I like your shirt, Doug.
Oh, thank you. This is from You Haven't Heard This Music podcast. This is Ritchie, his merch. Ritchie's been a stalwart supporter of our podcast, and we also love to support his podcast and his network as well. So You Haven't Heard This Music podcast, You Haven't Heard This Music productions. They're great. Ritchie's awesome. He always pops in on the Saturday night stream, which is like 2 a.m. his time.
It's way too late to be on.
He's like, hey. I'm like, dude, go to bed. Like, I appreciate you being here, but go to bed. Like, we were playing Riff Tracks last Saturday. I'm like, hey, man, you want to hop in? He's like, I'm good. I'm like, yeah, you're probably going to pass out. So,
right.
You know.
I like to think that the content is dream fuel. The
Probably.
content that we pump out is dream fuel, and he's taking full advantage of the dream fuel.
He's sweet too, man. Like he'll go and he'll rewatch the live streams and like he'll comment on them. So he's a great supporter. I appreciate the shit out of that guy and everything he's doing. I saw he posted something the other day that they're climbing up the Good Pods charts, which is great.
Nice.
So very thrilled.
We can use more Ritchie in the world.
Yeah, Ritchie is just overall good dude. So Ritchie, thank you for being you. You're a good dude. We appreciate you. Someday we will meet in person, and it will be a cool moment.
It will be written down in the annals of history.
That's right. In the anal glands of history, we will express them. We will relive those moments, and it'll go, and maybe we'll, file a claim for our insurance and get, they'll pay 70% of that if we met our deductible, and then, we pay for the other 30% because our insurance system sucks.
Bingo.
But we love you, Ritchie.
This podcast is sponsored by Progressive.
Brought to you by the American Health and Insurance Agencies who suck balls. Well, speaking of sucking balls, if you'd like to suck our metaphorical balls, you can check us out at youtube.com/mindgappodcast. Justin's facial reaction to that was perfect. We live stream there on Tuesdays now for the podcast. We do it an hour earlier at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I also host a live stream on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central, video game centric. Which is a ton of fun. Like I said, last Saturday we played Riff Tracks, which is very similar to What the Dub. Had an absolute blast playing with Mind Gap All-Stars. We got real silly. We got real nasty. And we got real topical. There was a lot of, just based on the scenes, man, there was some anti-capitalism. There was, there was all sorts of shit people were flinging out there. I'm like, man,
I'm gonna guess. I bet you I could guess who led the charge on some of those.
Yeah. And the sound effects that you can use in that game are way more extensive than you can in What the Dub. I was like, I don't even have time to get through all these. Like to even, I want to try them, but there's just so many. It's like scroll. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And they had just some wild clips. It was really a lot of fun. Some of them you're just like, I don't know, man, here we go. And you just throw what you got. It was a really good time.
I really hope I can join next time you guys play that.
Yeah, I left that stream exhausted from laughing, which is always a good time.
Always a good time.
And this Saturday, which is going to be Saturday the 24th, I'm firing up some Jackbox games.
Been a minute. Plus, the new Jackbox pack comes out next month, so I want to get one in. And then we'll get in another one when that new version drops. So I'm real excited for that. So if you want to come hang out with me, the Mind Gap All-Stars, possibly even join us for a few rounds of some of the Jackbox games. If you're not familiar with Jackbox games, it's a bunch of silly party games. Inevitably, they turn dirty, gross, and silly with a lot of user-generated content. So please come check us out. Or if you just want to hang out, you can vote on stuff too, being in the audience. It's super cool. We're going to have a real good time. That's 8 p.m. Central this Saturday. So, Jervis might be free this week. We'd love to have you back, man. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've seen you. That'll be a raucous time. Yes. Also, if you like what you see here you're on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, come join the Mind Gap Army. And if you would be so kind, drop a comment down below. It helps us with the algorithm, and it helps, engagement is great, as we learned from our Rings of Power episode. Really drove that content to the people that did not like what we had to say, because the engagement was powerful. It was potent. Let me tell you what, the algorithm, in a way, based on the internet, it understood the assignment.
I think it did. It's like, you probably are going to be mad at this. Here you go. And it served it up just right to the people. The suggested... 90% of the people who watched it, they were suggested the video. So I think, I guess we did our job. And I guess so did YouTube. So great partnership. Drop a comment. Even just drop a comment with an emoji, your favorite emoji. It's awesome. We appreciate it. If you want to support us with your actual financial contributions, head over to patreon.com/mindgappodcast. You can subscribe over there. Or if you want to check out our merch at redbubble.com and then just search Mind Gap Podcast, all one word, you can find some fun stuff to treat yourself. You know, Christmas is almost here. Get your Christmas shopping done.
Get it done.
Mind Gap. You can also join our Discord server. Link is in the description down below. You can join all the other Mind Gap All-Stars and hang out with us and sign up for game nights and just shoot the shit in general. We got a really great community. I love everyone in there. So
I'm going to get a plug-in at the top as well.
Let's do it.
Or before the end of the show, while I still have people's attention.
Plug it.
We are officially launching our Seed and Spark campaign, which is a film fundraising. Seed and Spark is a film fundraising website, a crowdfunding website for film. We're officially launching it tomorrow. It is Wednesday, September 21st at 8 a.m. Central. You can go to seedandspark.com and search Love and Improv, or you can go to loveandimprovfilm.com. It's all spelled out, loveandimprovfilm.com. And there's information there. There's a link to the Seed and Spark campaign. And any amount that you can give, there's some cool not promotions, benefits or prizes that were given for different tiers of people who pledge money. So check that. You might be able to win a walk-on role in the film, be invited to a after party, a wrap party with the cast and crew, might be invited to a premiere, a VIP at one of our premieres. So, please check that out, loveandimprovfilm.com, where you can find our Seed and Spark campaign and you can donate some money. We're going to be doing it for the next 30 days, and we need to push it super hard. So even if you can't donate money, just go on there and share the links around. Let people know.
Spread the good word.
Spread the good word.
Know. Thanks for the plug up top. Smart move.
Thank you.
Smart move. All right. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so let's just hop into it.
Let's do it.
The first one actually was something that was shared via the mighty Jervis, who sent this link over, and it was a TikTok from Ray and Bose. It's REY.NBOWS, and it was a TikTok that basically talked about how there's an AI that can find a video of you taking Instagram pics. And it is amazing and terrifying all at the same time. So essentially the way that it works, it's essentially, it's from Dries Depoorter. I love trying to say this stuff. So it's at DriesDepoorter. And this is essentially the person who created this AI. And he makes projects around surveillance, privacy, and AI. And he has this artificial intelligence that will essentially find an Instagram photo, and then it will then run through all of the, public access security footage to find the moment in which you took the photo. It's absolutely bizarre. Like, yeah. I'm gonna try and see if I can pull this over. Just show it. You won't hear any audio, but you can kind of see how this works a little bit. So this is they're showing like how you can this like, oh, here's these two guys. This is where they took it, and then they're showing the right next to it, side by side. This is the surveillance camera. That's like, oh, that's where they took it. That's how they did it. And so it's kind of wild and kind of terrifying at the same time. And I honestly don't know the point of it.
Yeah, well, look, it's got a, obviously it's got a super Big Brother vibe to it.
Yeah.
I also don't know how the AI is gaining access to all these CCTVs and these security cameras. Like, I there's a part of me that thinks, like, this is the cynic in me. This is the part of me that's like, no, conspiracy. Like Dudesy.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
Dudesy's real.
Is this, or is there someone? Did they doctor this where they had the guys and they had someone propped up on a balcony and they edited and put it out there like that? I don't understand how the AI is gaining access to all this security footage. Your open source cameras in public spaces is what Jervis says. Okay, well, look, I never claimed to be an expert in anything really, so thank you for the information on that.
Yeah,
that's terrifying. Then.
Yeah, actually, this is the website to this guy, which I'll switch over so we can see it. Dries Depoorter. So using open cameras and AI to find how an Instagram photo is taken. Like that is, man.
It's fucking bizarre, man.
This is kind of crazy. Oh, they have something called the Flemish scrollers, automatically tagging Belgian politician when they use their phone on the daily live stream with the help of AI. So there's a screenshot of when they're on their phones while they're in session, like during like parliamentary proceedings.
So they're live streaming.
So they live stream their proceedings, right?
The session.
It's like C-SPAN, you know?
Yeah.
And so basically the AI will tag and like notify them when they're on their phone, like because it's like, oh, you're on your phone. Like,
oh shit.
That is crazy.
So is that like in class you're not allowed to have your phone? Like what is that? Is that the purpose to this? Or because again, I'm struggling to find the purpose. I suppose one could argue some sort of a law enforcement rationale, but I feel like that's an extremely weak argument.
I feel like it's almost an opportunity to let people know that, hey, you are being filmed. Like
right.
There's surveillance. You may not realize it
everywhere. Yeah.
But it's there. So be mindful.
I heard a statistic years back that it was something to the effect of when you go out, you're recorded no less than 100 times that you're unaware of. Like there's that many cameras out there right now, be it from someone's cell phone or from security footage or whatever it is. Like you are being recorded far more than you realize. This is just it's terrifying to see it in action, I think is what it is.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at more of this here. So it says, how does this work? Recorded a selection of open cameras for weeks. All right. Scraped all Instagram photos tagged with the location of the open cameras.
Okay.
Software compares the Instagram with the recorded footage. And then that's basically how it works. He's like, I launched the project on September 12th, 2022. The YouTube video was just created with the results of 10 days. I will publish new results on my socials. And so he's showing like there's a picture here of a woman just in front of Wrigley Field going like this. And then so it's like Instagram on the left. And then on the right, it says the open camera. And it's showing this girl getting her photo taken, like from security footage. Like,
Jesus.
It's crazy.
If you can see her walking into position and then having the photo taken, like you're seeing it in real time, walking into position in real time.
Yeah, this is crazy, man. Like, wow. That's wild. And also you realize how dumb people look like posing for photos.
One of my favorite things to see is the accounts that do Instagrammers caught or influencers in the wild.
Yeah. Oh, they look so dumb.
Yeah, like because you see the polished video and you're like, damn, that's cool. And then you see them capturing it and you're like, oh yeah, you're a moron just like all of us.
Well, yeah,
There's
it's
nothing glamorous about that video you just made.
Like when you watch behind the scenes of like a music video getting made.
Like,
like this music video looks fucking awesome, and then you watch what's happening, you're like, they must feel really dumb having to do this.
Shit, just look at the Avengers, man. Like there was a ton of BTS that was released around Endgame.
Oh yeah.
And just when they had those giant battles and they're all run, it's nothing but a green screen, and Josh Brolin has got a dowel rod with a paper mache Thanos, or not even a paper mache, just printed out Thanos head tapped to it.
So they know where the eye line is.
Just like
Hulk's no different. Mark Ruffalo like walking around like dirt with this extended head. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, man. But yeah, it really does show you just kind of the absurdity of how much. And yet, if you think that you're going out, you're I guess that to the same point, the people who are like, oh, I'm not on board with all the, these companies taking my data and selling it and doing this and that. I'm like, look, if you walk out the door, you're done. That's it. You're being followed. You're on the grid. Doesn't matter how off the grid you want to be.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, especially when you think about like Ring doorbells and stuff like that. That just is a thing now, in a lot of cases.
Are you comfortable with this technology being done? I know you don't post a ton to Instagram, but like, are you comfortable with someone? Because again, all this takes is for him to make this, open source or whatever, and someone can take this or someone else can write it and do the same thing. So like for people to be able to find you, like does that worry you at all? Does that freak you out?
That's a good question. Does it worry me?
Because there's a level of, anonymity at this point, because like some individual would have to do a ridiculous amount of work to try to manually do the same thing, but if someone's writing computer programs to do that.
To be fair, all these videos that he's showing are from extremely populous places. Like these are Wrigley Field. This is like a big city in Brazil, like a big popular place. I think it looks like the UK. I think if you live in Kirksville, Missouri, you might be okay. Like it depends on how much of that. Now, granted, there's still probably, video footage that's being recorded in those areas. I just think it's, first of all, you're probably not going to get a lot of Instagrams.
Yeah, but in Kirksville, it's like 480p. It's
right. It's going to be what it
black
is.
And white, grainy.
So I think obviously the more popular spot too, like the more you're going to be able to pull that and match it with Instagram. I think it's the overall concept of it that is unsettling. I kind of wish it was more unsettling, to be honest with you. Like it's one of those things where I guess you just kind of have to accept.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do? Like what's the option?
Right. There's, I guess, ignorance.
Don't use Instagram, I guess, for this particular project, which I'm okay with, like it's a necessary evil for me. I just post.
Jervis asks a good question. Are you worried more so than for Natalie? And what, by the time she gets of age to be using social media and gets her own phone and everything, like what will at that point, or teaching her like the cause and effect of stuff about like posting and what you put out there? Like, that has to invade your conscience.
Oh yeah. Jill and I literally talked about that on a walk the other day. I was like, what I am most concerned about is because part of her school is like she's in first grade. She's taking an iPad home starting next month. Like that's part of the thing. That's where a lot of her apps are that she uses at school, which I'm like, that's great. Like this is cool. You should know how to use this technology. It makes sense. Practical Doug has the giant, biggest, hardest, erection you've ever heard of, when you hear about all the cool stuff that this curriculum does. As far like snow days, technically they can do e-learning like during snow days.
That's a bummer for kids nowadays because those aren't a thing anymore.
That's what Jill said, but I was really impressed because I'm like, that means you don't actually have to lose a day of school. Like because we have an open in snow day emergency packet at home. Yeah. And it's like when this happens, it's like turn to page, like you'll get email saying what page to turn to and what homework to do, and also a schedule of when to hop on for group stuff and everything like that. Like it's all mapped out, which I love because if we have a prolific storm, that's good to go. Like we don't have to like extend the school year necessarily. Right. I mean, they build that in just in case, but it's there. So the efficiencies of that stuff is really cool, and I want her to be familiar with technology. I think the hardest thing to try, I think, is going to be to explain to her, what you post isn't just to your friends. Anybody can find it. Like anybody can find it. So I think it's going to be a lot of discussion around, and I don't really know how to approach this, but I know there were some parents that would have their kids, like they would say, I'm gonna look at your phone and I'm gonna check your text messages and I'm gonna check your social media. You have to be friends with me. Like you have to do all this sort of stuff if you're gonna use it because I need to monitor what you're doing. And I used to be like, man, that's really intrusive. Right. But at the same time, it's kind of a nice barrier to be like, hey, if I see that you're posting something, like I can help guide you, so to speak. I want it to be less intrusive and big brothery and more of a, hey, mom and dad are following you. Okay. So keep that in mind. We can see what you post. And that's how you need to think about what you post is anybody can see this. This isn't just only my closest friends. Everything is open. And especially being, a female and the shit that happens out there. I saw a streamer the other day post something where they're like, hey, we don't talk about age in my chat because here's why. When you see how old you are, groomers see that and they can all of a sudden start messaging you and things of that nature. It makes me real uncomfortable because it's just like you have to try and teach her, like, there's a lot of bad people out there. And there's a lot of people that, are going to try and reach out to you. They're going to try and talk to you, and you're not going to know them. And you honestly just can't trust them. You just really can't. And how do I teach her about scammers? How do I teach her about, all this sort of stuff that, listen, I fumbled through some things and whatever. I think I'm pretty decent as far as my track record goes, but shit's continuously evolving. They're getting sneakier and sneakier all the time. And to someone that's brand new to it, they're going to be like, Dad, guess what? I got this DM that said all we need to do is give them our bank account number and we're going to get crypto. It's like, okay. Yeah. My niece, Jill's oldest niece, just her Instagram got hacked.
Mine did.
No shit.
You know me, I am. Well, yeah, remember I messaged you about a month or so ago. I said, hey, if you get any messages from me on Instagram, don't reply. And then I got it back. Thank God I have. Pro tip, make sure you have at least one current picture of yourself on your Instagram feed, because that's how they'll verify you are who you are. You can file a claim, and when you file the claim, they say, okay, hold your camera up. They'll scan your face, they'll search your account, and they'll say, yep, that's you. And they'll give you access back, and they'll take it away. So, but I am, I'm always the one that's harping on, like, my mom or whomever to be like, why are you clicking on the thing? Don't click on the thing. We got this email, delete it.
Yeah.
You don't know who it is. Don't click on the thing, Yeah,
and my mom, actually, I got to give her credit. She texted me the other day. She goes, this is a couple weeks ago. She goes, hey, did you just text me from a new number? I was like, sure didn't. She goes, because they were saying, basically, they said, hi, it's your son. And they basically were trying to get her to scam her. And I was like, yep, not me. I go, did you check that it's not Dave? She's like, it's not Dave. I'm like, it's a scammer. I was like, you did the right thing. She goes, I'm sorry. I'm like, no. I go, you did the absolute right thing. You verified. Yeah. It wasn't me. And whatever they're trying to pull, I was like, block the number. She's like, how do I do that? I sent her a quick video, how to do it. I was like, this is how you block them. I was like, don't. She goes, now they're calling me. I'm like, don't answer them. Like, she is at least,
she's aware of,
she's aware enough to be like, I don't trust it. Like, she's paranoid in a good way to question that sort of stuff, which is good. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's going to be,
someone like us can still get duped. So like
100%, it happens.
Like Natalie just jumping on, like, my God,
I've got to, again, there's a lot of really great conversations I'm looking forward to having just to help protect her on this sort of stuff. And it's just not something she's there yet. Like, we were working on addition last night for homework, and I'm just trying to help her understand a couple of different things. There were multiple times where I'm like, you just got to solve for X. And I was like, you don't know what that means. I was like, we know two things. We don't know the third. We got to solve for X. I was like, you'll know what that means when you're older. Did that just make you giggle
when you said it?
I was excited. I was like, because she was getting frustrated last night too, because she's like, I don't know the answer. I go, Natalie, I'm less concerned about you getting the answer. I want you to learn how to get the answer. Right. That is what matters to me. I was like, if you can learn how to get the answer, it doesn't matter what problem is going to come your way, you're going to be able to solve it. Like that, right. You need to understand the process. Because I told her, I go, when I was a kid, I was so focused on getting the answer, I was overlooking the process. And that was a hard lesson I had to learn, was that, if you can understand the method, there's nothing you can't solve. Right. And what I loved about her homework was it was addition, but a lot of different ways they were trying to approach it. And I was like, this is really cool. It's just something straight up. It's like, you have these dots, you have 9, there's a blank. How do you get 10? And they're using some visual aids. And then they're like, then they're throwing some trickier stuff in there. Like, here's a 10 box. We're covering up some of them. How many are under the thing that's being covered up? And I'm like, you could look at this as addition or subtraction, depending on how you want to look at it. Because it's like, there's 10. They're giving you 6. If you take 10 and you subtract 6, you get 4. Like, whoa, I was having a lot of fun with it. But
it sounds like a waking nightmare.
Yeah.
For me. Like, just trying to explain the concepts, even of basic math.
It's not easy because the concept of time to her, I don't know how we're ever going to teach her that. I don't know how I ultimately understood what time is. It's a man-made, it's invented by man. It's not a real thing, but we've somehow invented this thing. And I'm like, at 2:00 we'll do that. She's like, how long is that from now? And I was like, I don't know, like 2.5 hours. And she's like, I see her just nod, but I was like, she doesn't know what that means.
The way we used to do it was, for me, my mom was like, it's 2 Transformers from now.
Like
she would give me like, okay, like what's your favorite show? It's 2 Transformers and a He-Man. All right. I'm like, that's an hour and a half,
that's a good way to look at it. But yeah,
I was just talking to Drew, and Max is trying to wrap his head around time. We were having a conversation, and Max came up and let him know that he just finished his bagel and he also had a pickle. And Drew's like, you ate a pickle too? And he's like, well, no, yesterday. And Drew looked at me and goes, it was like last week he had a pickle. And he goes, time's still a thing. Anything that happens before Max's afternoon nap is yesterday to Max.
That makes sense.
I was like, so Max has 14 days in a week.
Yeah, he sleeps. The sleeps are what, define yourself and your existence. I get it.
Yeah. But again, like I heard that and I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, man, like how do you explain such a ethereal concept as time to someone, or even like, emotions? We've talked about similar things on the podcast before. Just how do you teach conceptual ideas to someone? And it's wild, man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like emotions are at least a little bit better, and she's had more experience with that, as far as like, what are you feeling? And, she's learning too, like, hey, when you have feelings, like, tell people about them. I'm like, absolutely. Talk about what you're feeling. That's so important. I'm like, you're going to know emotional intelligence, child. I will make sure of that. I will reinforce that in any way, every way, shape, and form. We're going to be good. And they send home like things that they're working on at school, like how to ask assertive questions, like how to be assertive when you're asking things, basically being like, I don't understand what's going on. Can you help me, please? And also it's really big on making sure they do things on their own, which I have a hard time with because I like to be kind and just to like, do things, but I'm also like, open up your own orange. I need you to do that. I need you to try. I need you to try and do that, or she's like, Dad, can I do this thing? I'm like, I don't know. Can you? Go get it. Like, see if it's like having a cheese stick. It's like, Joe's like, we should open it up. I'm like, no, she needs to open this up. She wants the cheese stick. She needs to open it up herself. Like, just pull. Like, it's fine. It'll be fine. Because the teacher's the same way where she's like, these kids have to be able to start learning how to do stuff on their own. Because I can only imagine what that's like being a teacher. And teacher, I don't. It's like, oh, no, I don't have 20 kids in this class all asking me to do like dumb as shit. Like, no, figure it out.
I don't have the capacity to be a teacher, man.
No. Part of me, I don't know, man. Like, I really love Natalie's teacher. I love the school that she's in. We went to curriculum night, and they were kind of breaking down everything they were going through, and I was like, I love it. I love everything about it. I'm into it. I'm engaged. I think this is awesome. I can't wait to see, how this shapes Natalie. But there's all that other stuff too, like, Natalie. I mean, Jill's reading the 1619 Project book. Are you familiar with that at all?
The 1619 Project? No.
Basically, it's a bunch of scholarly folks have gone through and, really taken a look at our history, and they've kind of, they're looking at it from the perspective of our country was founded on slavery. That is a fact, a historical fact. And how has that affected our country based on that? It's caused a lot of problems with the conservative folk who feel that, white people shouldn't be ashamed of their past. So they really whitewash what was told. And, I saw Jill was reading that book. I'm like, I haven't read it, but I'm very familiar with it. I was like, that's a really important book. And I go, I'm really curious what Natalie's going to learn in history class. And because we don't have a national standard for history, every state has different requirements, so everyone learns something different. So therefore, as adults, we don't really know our history in the same way.
Man, that's fucked up. I never even thought of that.
Yeah. Like, it is bonkers, and you start to realize like why we are so divided on like what really happened, because there's a terrifying statistic in that book, in the opening to that 1619 Project, that said in a survey done in 2018, only 8% of high school seniors were able to identify that slavery was the primary cause of the Civil War. Which made me go, what did the other 92% think was the primary cause? Right. Because
I'm dying to know that now.
I'm from Missouri, and even I knew that. Like, even I knew that it was like, that was about slavery. That was the prime reason why People went to war. So,
oh man, I
Yeah.
would love to know what the other 92% said.
and there have been some book challenges on, the other school, the North Side. They've seems to be a little more conservative up there. They've challenged some books that are available. And I don't know. I'm just kind of curious. Like, I will be peeking over the curriculum, and I will be the person that's like, I look at this as like, I'm going to make sure that my kid is aware of
Right.
what really happened. And I'm not really going to, I'm like, listen, we'll get you to study and get an A on the test, but you're really going to understand, what happened here. Like this.
We may do some ancillary lessons at home.
Yeah.
Some ad hoc lessons.
Yeah,
on
we'll
the
have
side.
some dad-daughter talk on the way home from school where I'll be like, because when I was in first and second grade, Thanksgiving, boy, we dressed up like pilgrims and Native Americans, and we all sat down and we hung out. We're like, yay, this is exactly how it went. It's like, no, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, that we got the same thing from. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's not how it went at all. And I look forward to having those kind of conversations with Natalie and making sure that, listen, I may not be an expert, but I can at least be like, this is the general idea of how this happened. And we shouldn't be ashamed of our past. We need to know our past to build a better future. And so I want her to be absolutely aware of her Caucasianness and the privilege that comes with that. I'm thrilled that there's actually some people of color in her school. I was really terrified. I'm like, great, it's just going to be all white kids.
Right.
And she sits at a table of 4 with 2 black girls and a Hispanic boy and a disabled boy as well. I'm like, sweet. You've got a variety of folks that you sit by every single day. That's amazing. That's great. Yeah. And she's going to learn to interact with those kids, like, hopefully throughout most of her childhood, which is awesome. I'm like, that is incredibly important to me because we are in a white suburb. So, I'm cognizant of that. So Zinni says her kids don't know how to tie knots at school. That sounds like fun. That sounds like a real challenge.
Yeah. That's one of those things where then they just trip over their shoe. You have to teach them the hard ways in.
Yeah.
God, they'd learn to tie it or, maybe they chip a tooth. I don't know. I'm just saying whatever happens.
I'm also not looking forward to the homework getting more complicated. Right now I'm like, yeah, let's do some homework. It's addition and spelling 3-letter words. No problem. Like we can do that. But when we start getting more and more complicated, I'm like, fuck. And there's going to be a defining moment where I'm like, I'm out, kid. You got to go to your teacher. Like I can't do it. You got to
get a tutor or
My dad was a math teacher for the longest time. So I relied on him heavily to help me through math stuff. And then I got to I think high school and he was like, I'm out, man. Like I don't teach this anymore. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Well, is Natalie doing, is it new math or what's the core?
I guess my understanding is that she's learned to read differently than I guess the rest of us did. I think we were sounding out words growing up. Now they do sight words. I feel like a real piece of shit because I just assumed this is how I learned how to read. But apparently that's not the case because I thought sight words were like the articles like a, and the, and I kept going like, damn, there's a lot of sight words. You're like, she keeps coming home with like all these different sight words. I'm like, fucking hell. Like how many sight words are there? Like,
is she just memorizing words then?
I think that's what it is. I think that's what and you are applying like kind of the concepts of how to sound it out, but it's just essentially by the end of her first grade year, there's like 160 words that she's going to be tested on that like she needs to know. And she's great at them. Like she's fucking loves to read. So she's great at them. But I'm like, it's not until my friend came and visited like 2 weeks ago, he's like, oh yeah, they learn differently than we do. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, sight words. And I'm like, huh? That's different than what we did. He's like, yeah, man, we used to sound that shit out. I'm like, I don't sound it out. Like, I don't know what's happening right now. So apparently, it's, right now it's addition. So I don't think there's a whole lot of change to addition. I think multiplication and division get a little trickier. I don't know. We'll see. And I may just look at it and be like, Natalie, I'm dead sorry. I'll try to look at the homework and I'll do the best that I can. But again, you learn the method. Don't let dad just give you the answer. Okay.
You'll never learn if I help you. I got to go.
Yeah.
I got a podcast to do.
Yeah. But going back all the way back to the idea of like, you know, am I worried about Natalie and things like that? That's a road I will cross when I get there. But kind of going in that same vein, Debug says kids nowadays use a combination of sight words and phonics taught systematically to learn how to read. Lion, an example, an ex-English as a new language teacher. Oh yeah, Lion, that's right. Lion's one of the new folks to our community. We're so glad to have you there. And I didn't realize you were an English as a new language teacher. Okay, so they use a combination of sight words and phonics. Okay, interesting. So was it just phonics before? Because I remember Hooked on Phonics worked for me. You know, that was a whole thing back when we were growing up of just, I think, sounding it out. So that's interesting.
It's wild, yeah. It's
I gotta say,
concepts change.
Natalie knows so many words. Like she's able to read stuff really well. I'm like, God damn, like okay, you know, she a part of it she just likes to read, but also you know that practice, but then also just you know throwing in those words. She can read really really well, which is also like shit. I got to be careful now, you know. She actually will sit in my office here and she just pulls out my Spawn comics. Yeah, she says that she reads them. I don't think she really does. I think she just likes looking at the pictures. And she'll be sitting there for a while and she goes, all right, done with that one. I'm going for the next one, number 2. And she'll pull it out and she's like, Dad, I read it all. I'm like, did you? She'll pull it out. She goes, Dad, what's this one about? I'm like, Natalie, I've read those once, and that was years ago. I go, I have no idea what that one's about. She's like, well, the cover looks cool. And then she just opens it up and starts thumbing through it.
That's why you got to go, Natalie, you read it and you tell me what it's about.
Right. And she goes, wow, Dad, look at this guy. He lost his teeth. And it's like someone like Spawn's like curb stomping this guy. And his teeth are shooting out of his mouth. I'm like, yep, Dad's busy playing video games. Like, you know, I tell her, I go, that shelf's fine because it's got Spawn, V for Vendetta, whatever. And it's got Sandman. I was like, you can look at those. I go, you got to be careful with the pictures, though. Those pages are kind of worn out. Yeah. I've got Watchmen. I've got Black Hole, which he's like, Dad. I was like, yeah, don't read that one. That one's a little more adult. And I go, the shelf above that, Off Limits. I was like, that's got Preacher. That's got The Boys. It's got some Stephen King stuff. I'm like, yeah. No. Trust me, when you're old enough, fucking whatever you want, kid, come in here. You read these. I do not care. Just not yet. I don't think
we're setting a threshold for that shelf.
Yeah. I should move those up to the top. Because I think I saw something that's like, if you can reach it, you can read it, was kind of a rule in the house, which I like a lot. So I'm like, I should shift those up a level.
Yeah.
So that,
well, because you know that as a kid, there's one day you're going to round the corner and she's going to have snuck in the room and it's forbidden fruit. If she's been told that shelf's off limits, that shelf is only going to get more and more. It's going to call.
She's going to be looking at Herogasm and I'll be like, no, you don't know the context for that. It's funny, but it's also really gross. No.
Right. Yeah.
She pulled out one of my Warhammer 40K books. She's like, Dad, what's this one? I'm like, that doesn't have any pictures in it, but that's fucking awesome. She's like, what happens in it? I'm like, how much time do you have? Like, I'll tell you all about it. Like, it's crazy. It's so cool, man. It's an omnibus. It's like 3 stories in one book. It's crazy. Yeah. Actually, I realized I got The Walking Dead down there, but she doesn't see that because I think the chair covers it up. I'm like, that one's about zombies, kid. Like, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. You got books for days.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some comics and things like that. And I'm like, whatever you want to read, kid, I'm here for it. I'll support you. But anyway, going back to filming people and like surveillance, there was another thing that I saw on Twitter from at Jules Terpak is her name, JULES TERPAK, and her Twitter a post said the amount of videos that get posted without people's consent has become disgusting, which I thought was a nice parallel to the idea of like surveillance footage and things like that. And in this 3-minute video that she posted, she sort of breaks down a couple of TikToks where there's a TikTok, I don't know if you want to call her an influencer or whatever, that in the first example is,
I'll allow it.
Yeah, she's at a Harry Styles concert, apparently, and she gets into an argument with another girl's mom. Apparently, this TikTok influencer may or may not have taken this feathery boa from a girl, and she goes to have a huge fight, verbal altercation with this other girl's mom, and she posts it, and she posts several videos saying some pretty awful shit, I hope you get hit by a car and all sorts of stuff. And it was an interesting sort of breakdown of this person has millions of followers on TikTok, and she posts this, and then of course these people find out who this woman is,
right?
And they start harassing her, and just bombarding her and with all the stuff because they have this one perspective from this one person who posted about it because they were just doing whatever they were doing about it. And then there was another video she showed of this girl who was just like in a car driving, and she filmed like this guy who was just standing on the street looking at his phone. It's like, I asked this guy to go on a date, and then he said
he was out of town.
He said he was out of town, and I saw him, and it was just like, it wasn't even true.
Some random dude.
Just some random dude. Wasn't even true. She's like, oh, I just make content, for this sort of stuff, whatever memes. And the guy like just got absolutely just thrashed. He's like, I don't know who this person is who posted this. I know nothing about it. But they were just getting bombarded by stuff. And the girl ultimately, made an apology. But it's an interesting dynamic because, for the record, I've stopped using TikTok because my algorithm is nothing but conflict. And it feels like like pure poison going into my veins whenever I look at stuff, because it's just people arguing, and it is for a couple of like Saturdays, like before I was going to bed, I'm like, oh, what do I got here? And then I just fell into a hole. And it was an awful hole that when it was done, I felt just sick to my stomach of just, it was, because the thing is, part of me enjoys the conflict because I'm like, what's happening? And I try to break it down. You'll never know the full context, and you'll never know the true outcome. And it's just this horrible cycle of like, what the fuck happened there? And it's also trying to figure out, well, who's telling the truth? It is exhausting, and it's terrible. So I'm like, I will get on there. I will post stuff. Occasionally I'll check out the videos that other people send me, but there's a couple things that I'll watch that I know will make me happy and make me laugh. Other than that, I don't get on there because it's conflict. It's people using this stuff to somehow get power over somebody, sometimes justifiably, and other times it's just a power move. Yeah. And I think what really blew my mind about this particular video was the idea that people aren't consenting to this. And I've seen plenty of videos where people are like, I don't consent to this. You can't film me. And people are like, it doesn't matter. We're on public property. I'm like, yeah, they're right. You are on public property. Go fuck yourself. But then I'm also like, I can see their concern because they don't get to control. It's not just, I'm going to post the video. They can edit it, and they can change it. If we've seen any reality TV, we know people can be painted in particular ways. And it really, I don't know. I found it kind of unsettling.
I think what it is for me, like the right to expected privacy is the law or the statute that people refer to all the time. And if you're out in public, you give up your right to expected privacy. If you're on a private property, depending on where you are, you can expect that you have some privacy. So being out and about, I think the way that, and again, this is one of those where you can interpret where's the commas in the statute and all this stuff, but I look at it as if the person is if you're making the person the subject of a video, that is different than passively recording them in the background.
I agree.
Like if you're recording something and they come in the background and they're like, was I just in that video? Delete it. No, you were walking. I was filming. It was in that general direction. I wasn't following you. You walked in front of my camera. Right of expected privacy. Fuck off. That I'm in. But if you are distinctly making that person the subject of the video, and then you're even going further than that, painting that person in a very specific light by editing or putting graphics or voiceover or whatever it is, I think that borders on violation of privacy or personal space.
Yeah, it's tough because we all kind of have a weapon in our pocket if you think about it. Like
absolutely.
It's pretty gross. I've seen some almost, you've seen some videos. It's like someone's walking, they're videoing them. You're like, oh, that's interesting. But then maybe if you were to video the person who's videoing the person, and you see how intrusive it is, as someone's got their phone out and they're just doing this.
Yep.
I've also begun to realize how overwhelming that is as someone's just like got their camera in your face and you're just like, oh, what? And then you realize that everything you're saying, like you have to be super like careful about what you're saying because it's being recorded and people can do whatever they want with it. And Jules makes an interesting point in this, in that it used to be that if someone pulled out a camera to take a picture or record something, people were like, oh, way more cool with it because they understood that it was going to end up in a private collection. Like photos were going to go in, they have to fucking, excuse me, physically develop the film and get out there, and they'd put it in a photo album, and it wasn't going to be distributed all over the place.
Right.
You know, versus now when someone pulls out their phone, people get really agitated really fast because this could be anywhere in a second, in a heartbeat. It could be delivered. And if this person has 1 million, 2 million, 10 million followers, your interaction could just be out there and out of context, and people make judgments like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't take the time to ask questions. They're just like, oh, look at that dickhead, you know, because X, Y, and Z. And it's horrifying. I've always told you that that's one of my greatest fears.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's only been more amplified in recent years.
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah.
One of my greatest fears is going quote unquote viral for all the wrong reasons.
Absolutely, yeah.
Something that like just unintentionally people are just like, you know, all right, my lights are doing weird shit right now.
Look at that. All right.
That's distracting. Don't know why that happened. My lights are going crazy right now in my background. I don't know why. We'll just...
Debug mode, he clarified maybe something that I said. He said maybe not a violation of privacy necessary, but it would be protected under slander or libel laws.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, not by law, by definition, not an invasion of privacy, but you are definitely invading. It's invasion of personal space, I think, is more so what I meant to say by that. Like it's definitely slander and libel. Like if you're painting this person out in a way that is not accurate of what actually happened, you know, that's yeah.
I think I'm also just terrified of like your only recourse is something to do with the court. You know, like I'll take you to court. Like that happened to me at a former job at assignment desk. I left. I gave 1 week's notice, and my boss at the time withheld 1 week's vacation pay from me because he's like, "Oh, you didn't give me 2 weeks' notice. I'm going to take 1 week's pay from you," which is illegal.
Yep,
you cannot do that.
Yeah.
And my only recourse was to take him to court, but I was like, for what? $500?
Right.
I'm going to take you to court for $500. Like
we were getting paid peanuts at that job.
I ultimately decided to go, that is the fee I'm going to have to pay to get out of this job and never talk to this piece of shit ever again. But I was like, I can't take this guy to court over this. Like it's not worth it, you know? And the idea of if someone is just like, cause we've seen this, man, we've seen people, you know, there's so much shit that's going on. Like, I don't know a ton about it, but I don't know if you heard about kiwi farms at all.
No.
There's this big thing that's been on for the last several weeks. There was it's community kind of like
growing New Zealanders.
No. It was a community online similar to like 8chan and stuff like that, where it was a pretty.
I already don't like where this is going.
Yeah, pretty toxic place. That would dox people, that would swat people, particularly like trans people and LGBTQ plus people, and it was a really bad place. And one person in particular who went by, I think, the name Keffels, ultimately like fought the good fight and continued exposing them, and all their shit got taken down from a lot of the major hosting places.
Wow.
And now essentially a lot of them, like the site mostly doesn't exist, or if it does, it's in like the dark alleys of the internet. It doesn't have the power that it used to have. But you know, the idea of someone just deciding to be an asshole and being like, oh yeah, here, I'm going to SWAT somebody and send the fucking police to raid your place, you know, or something.
Is that what I know doxing, but I've never heard of the term SWAT.
Happens a lot to Twitch streamers. People will call the cops and say, give their name and address, and while they're streaming, fucking SWAT teams will fucking come in and raid their place because they've been told that something serious is happening, and they'll raid their place as a way of harassing people.
Wow.
It's pretty fucked up.
That is messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, also look what Alex Jones did with the Sandy Hook shit. You know what I mean? Like those parents basically being told they were actors, that their kids weren't real, that they didn't really die. I mean, that was what, 2012 when that happened? Yeah. Like, I mean, that was, you know, that was 10 plus years ago where they were doing that shit. And it's like, it's only gotten more sophisticated,
Yeah.
since then. So yeah, this video kind of hit me where I'm like, God, that could happen to anybody,
Yeah.
And there's a, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, because the versions of that I flock to, and I'm sure is poisoning my algorithm, is when you see the people having the supermarket freakouts, or the Karens that are in line and freaking out. You're just like, man, this woman's so, messed up, or this guy's such an asshole. And then it's probably safe to assume that is true. Like that they're very messed up people and they're assholes and that's not good people. But you don't know what the beginning of that, you don't know what sent them to that point. And so thinking of that, I'm like, man, if I gotten into an altercation with someone and it was in the middle of me rebutting against something that they said and my anger that kicked in and someone started recording at that point, I could easily be painted to look like a psycho, and it's just, it's terrifying to think that at any point, if you lose your head at any point when you're in public, that could be it. You could be, instead of famous, you're infamous.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I mean, there's a flip side to it also, where you can capture people being complete fucking assholes, right?
Sure.
And there's a justice to it, which I think is also kind of the enticing piece for me. Is I love justice, like not in the gross American way of this person needs to be incarcerated for the rest of their lives or whatever, but there is something I think justice oriented where not only like are people being assholes online, but people just being straight up crazy, ridiculous, racist, homophobic assholes, and people capture them. And then there are real world consequences for it. It brings me a lot of joy to my heart because I don't know. It's complicated because those people are assholes, and maybe it's that 1 week moment. Can you judge someone from that one moment alone? I mean, for some people, yeah, you can. But especially like when people make really bad jokes. Really bad jokes. They're like, this is funny. It's like, it's not. Yeah. And they get exposed for it, and it hurts their like small business or their employment. And they and the best part is when they give like the worst apology after the fact too. There was a woman who was like, did this stupid fucking thing where she's like, something's wrong with me. My armpits, they just smell like tacos. Smell like a taco truck. And she was just like making a lot of really bad, I wouldn't even call them jokes. They were remarks about Mexicans. And it went on way too long. And she was like, it was a joke. And no one found it funny. And her local, of course, they all own a boutique. Her boutique, place just got lit up, by all this sort of stuff. And she just posts, this awful apology where she's just like, that's not who I am. I am a good person. And I did not mean to. It was supposed to be funny. It's like, you're not funny. You're not. Just don't do that. Why would you make that? And why would you post it for everyone to see? Who is that supposed to go to? The masses? Or was it supposed to go to your friend Janet? Like, just send it to Janet. Don't send it to everybody. Like, what are you doing? Again, teaching Natalie, don't send this to everybody. Okay. Exactly. Think about what you're doing. All right. You gotta think. Yeah. So there is a justice element to that, to be like, if someone is truly doing something wrong and you capture it and they're held accountable for that, I think that's really important, because nowadays with the internet, it's just, there's this shield that people can really hide behind to say really awful things and to be really mean to each other. And there's really not much of a consequence. I think some of that bleeds over a little bit into real life, where people just kind of take the same rhetoric, the same aggression, and I don't know, I guess they don't expect the consequences on the other end of that. Like, I love seeing someone be a complete fucking dickhead and then come out the other side of it, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I lost my job. It's like, yeah, you should lose your job over that. You can't fucking say shit like that. Yeah. Oh boy. Sly says, and then you have things like the tree service near me that hung an effigy of Barack Obama and is still thriving local service provider. See, the thing with that, Slotty, is it's all about your community. Yeah. If your community condones that and they're okay with it, then yeah, they're going to be doing just fine. In fact, they probably picked up some business from that, which is scary.
Yeah.
Slotty, there's some houses to buy around my place. You want to come over here? We
Yeah,
can
man.
be friends. Your daughters, my daughter can hang out. You and I can have just the best food ever cooked to each other. We send each other gifts of food daily.
That might get me to move back.
Yeah, my community kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I don't look, without wading too far into the political realm on this, I think some recent figureheads have normalized the fact that some recent figureheads have been able to say and do pretty much whatever they've wanted and get by with no accountability. I think that has emboldened a lot of people who would have otherwise stayed behind the veil of the internet, that anonymous veil. And I think they're like, cool, so maybe I can go out in the real world and there is no consequences to this. Let me dip my toe in that pool and see what happens. And then, maybe they get away with it once, twice, and then now it's a thing,
My only caveat for those people are you rich? Because if you're not rich, you will absolutely feel the consequences. If you are rich, you can probably dodge it. But if you're just an average human that's like, going out there and doing really dumb shit, you're gonna get smacked. You're gonna find the consequences are gonna come and bite you. They're gonna get you.
I'm gonna bite you.
They're gonna bite you. They're gonna get you. Epicurean, the Greek philosopher of happiness, said, "A happy life is living with friends, a life of moderation." Slotty, you should move and stream together in real life. Oh, man, that would be great. I'd finally meet Slotty in real life. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's weird to think that we still haven't met most of the community in real life.
Soon, though.
Got a meetups.
We got it. We got some tentative plans in 2023 to do a Mind Gap community meetup. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Some loose plans are coming together, and I'm pumped. So hopefully we can just start potentially an annual thing where the Mind Gap folks, the Mind Gap All-Stars get together and hang out for a few days. I don't know. It could be really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Mind Gap cookout.
Yeah, right? I'm like, you put me, Noah, and Slotty all together, we're going to be cooking up a storm, man. It's going to be great. Tint's also posted some really good stuff lately with his green green tomatoes, and Emilio's been cooking some stuff. Like, there's a lot of good stuff happening over there.
A lot of crafty people, a lot of crafty bastards. Speaking of bastard.
Yes. Speaking of bastard, hit it, baby.
I don't have it.
Oh. All right. Here we go. I know I had two on there, but that was the first one that I picked. So there we go.
Cool.
It's that time again where Justin was so confused. He's like, that's not
I don't know what's happening right now.
Right? Well, folks, get ready because we're back again with another favorite segment called Anime Out of Context.
Okay.
If you've never been here before for this, it's very simple. I, for this session, have curated a snippet of anime. Justin has not seen this anime, nor has he seen this script that he probably just opened right now. I'm going to assign Justin with a character, or possibly two. I will give him light direction, and then we will do a cold read of the script that I put together. This is part 3 of Bastard, with 2 exclamation points. Currently streaming on Netflix. It's a wild show, man. It's a real wild show, and when I was watching it, I was just like, take notes because we're gonna do some anime out of context with this. So, Justin, are you ready?
Yeah. Can we, just for my vocal cords, can we steer clear of Dark Schneider?
What do you mean?
At some point?
No, you can change, Justin. You don't have to do the same voice every time. You can take a different approach.
I feel like I do.
It's up to you, man. He has a lot of lines in this, so I'm just saying. It's up to you. The choice is yours.
We might be changing it because
I don't care.
It's just a strain. It's just a strain.
It is a strain.
Yeah.
So, in this scene, we've got Dark Schneider, who is a powerful spellcaster bent on taking over the world. We've got di-amon, who is an ancient vampire. And we've got Lars Ole, who is a small dragon and friend of Dark Schneider. Justin, you're going to be playing both Dark Schneider and Lars Ole in this.
Okay. Small
Get your
dragon,
water.
friend to Dark Schneider. Schneider.
All right.
Schneider.
Here we go. Dark Schneider stands in a throne room staring down the evil vampire lord di-amon. Yoko, Kai Harn, Shawnari, and Lars Ole try to break free of their ropes.
How dare you hurt my woman, you idiot. And to top it all off, you kicked Yoko. How dare you hurt her? Someday she'll be the woman who bears my children. You are a monster. I'll destroy you.
Dark Schneider holds up his hands and begins to cast a spell.
Su, Han, Tu, Stay, Lu.
No, not that spell! Dark Schneider's hands grow purple as he winds up and prepares to hurl his spell at di-amon.
Riot!
Bolts of lightning shoot out of Dark Schneider's hands, electrifying di-amon, who grunts in pain.
Oh, this is me.
Yeah, this is a different character now. This is you.
Okay.
That's an advanced form of the Belvolt spell. Lightning spells and cooling spells are two of the only types of magic that work against vampires. There's no way that spell didn't injure him.
Is that all Dark Schneider is capable of? Too bad it didn't work. I guess the legendary sorcerer isn't as powerful as everyone says he is. Well, what a surprise.
Oh, no way.
Oh, please. I can beat you. You're not that strong. Isn't that right, Jodo? di-amon turns to his lackey, Jodo, who gives an awkward thumbs up.
This is bad. The vampire is too powerful. Crosses don't work against him, so magic might not either. And he has an immortal body, so it's not like we can use a weapon against him. Damn, what are we gonna do?
I don't like your attitude. I can tell from your smug smile that you're looking down on all of us right now like you actually think you'll be able to defeat me. You're standing there thinking you're the most powerful person in the whole world, aren't you?
Well, yeah, because I am the most powerful person in the world.
Fine. Think what you want. You act like you're not afraid of anything, but only noble beings such as myself deserve to have an ego as big as yours is. Today, I'll teach you the meaning of fear and wipe that smug smile right off your face. Understand?
Give up now, vampire. You don't stand a chance.
Witness the magic of a noble assassin! di-amon's eyes grow deep red and lasers shoot out of Dark Schneider, who screams in pain. There's an explosion of blood and a hand falls onto the chamber floor. Did you see that? I did it, Jodo! I killed the great sorcerer Dark Schneider with my own spell! di-amon cackles with insane glee. Another voice begins to join in on the laughs. di-amon looks over his shoulder to see Dark Schneider standing there. Ah! That's impossible. What's happening? di-amon looks closer at the pool of blood and body parts in the middle of the chamber. He sees the head of his servant Jodo lying in the body parts. Jodo!
What a dumbass. I can't believe you didn't even notice how much I damaged your nervous system with my lightning spell. So now you won't be able to shoot your magic in a straight line anymore.
You bastard! How dare you mock me to my face! Damn you!
What's wrong with you, oh noble count? Finally showing your true colors?
Oh, who cares if I can't shoot straight? Do you really think that matters to me, you fool? Take this! di-amon rotating assassin! di-amon begins to spin around at an unfathomable rate, shooting lasers from his eyes, destroying the room. I can shoot magic in all directions! There's no escape from me!
There is only one universal law in a fight between two men. Let me tell you, brother. The ugly meathead never wins against the young hero. Smart, handsome, ladies' man. You know the drill. Look at you, brother. From the moment I saw your face, I knew you would die.
Shut up! I'm a beautiful noble! Dark Schneider catches one of di-amon's lasers and slowly transforms it into another spell. What? No way! He managed to catch my magic spell! You're the real monster bastard!
No way, brother. I'm not a monster. You are.
Dark Schneider hurls his spell past di-amon, destroying the wall behind him. You idiot! What exactly were you aiming for? Rays of sun begin to shine onto di-amon. No! The sun!
So pathetic. Someone like you could never hope to scare me. There's only one person I'm afraid of, brother.
Di-amon's skin turns gray, and he slowly turns to ash.
You did it. You beat Di-amon. You destroyed the vampire for us.
No, not quite yet, little brother. Take a look.
The ashes begin to stir, and a bat bursts free. It's Di-amon! Did you forget that a vampire's body is basically immortal, Dark Schneider? Don't forget, I am a noble. I am true-blooded vampire. I am a ruler. My name is Count Di-amon. Dark Schneider grabs Di-amon out of the air and throws him to the ground. He then rips a piece of webbing from his wings. What are you doing to me?
Fuck you.
Vampires turn to ash when they're exposed to sunlight. However, they say that a vampire spirit will rise from the ash as a bat, brother. He turns to his coffin and sucks in the spirits of the earth. Then, 2 days later, a bat is reborn in the form of a vampire. Isn't that right?
What are you going to do? Are you going to kill me now?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves first. First, I'm going to cast a spell. Then, this little piece of flesh right here is going to be my catalyst. Even if you are a vampire, the spell will definitely work, brother. This is one of my all-time favorites. Anyone subjected to it is doomed to fail. It's an evil spell from ancient times.
No! Stop it! Please, don't do this!
Di-amon, you're evil. You're an evil, though arrogant, cruel, and funny man. Brother, quite frankly, I haven't decided what I should do with you, so I'll give you a chance to choose whether you live or die. O kings of the splatter rock, come forth on the wings of this. O kings of the splatter rock, come forth on the wings of this bat. O demon of the night, enter my nail and seal our pact, brother.
Dark Schneider places the flesh from Di-amon's wings onto his finger, and blue flames appear as he begins casting his spell.
O kings of the splatter rock, come forth on the wings of this bat. O demon of the night, enter my nail and seal our pact.
The blue flame turns into a wiggling life form on Dark Schneider's nail.
Using this blue nail, I'll dig the spell directly into your body. It'll be part of you. If you attempt to disobey me, or if you ever try to pull the nail out of your body, then this blue nail is going to turn purple and eventually turn red. The moment it becomes crimson red, you will breathe your last breath, brother. Your body will be shredded into pieces, put back together in the form of a hideous creature, and you will never be reborn again, just like I did to Hulk Hogan in '88. How you feel about being a disgusting and helpless toad?
Dark Schneider plunges his nail into the side of Di-amon's face, who begins screaming in pain. Stop, please! Have mercy on me!
Mercy? I don't have that. Don't even know how to spell it. Accused!
The spell begins to take root as Di-amon continues screaming in pain.
How nice. I love the sound of your screaming. I love it. Come on. Please keep screaming for me.
I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Di-amon flies away in bat form, repeatedly yelling how much he hates Dark Schneider for fingering him. Well, what did you think, Justin?
Look, we've talked about it before. I'll say it again. I don't understand the amount of exposition that happens in these fucking scripts. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Why? Why is there so much exposition?
For the record, I trimmed out a bunch of shit. I trimmed out a bunch of shit. Like I tried to keep it to the core of what the scene was about. So, yeah, it was crazy. Slotty goes, "This sounds like a fever dream," and I'm a JoJo fan. He means JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Yeah, dude. I mean, granted, it's anime out of context. So you take anything, even some of the best anime, and you take it out of context, you're like, what the fuck? But this show is like that all the time. And there are some anime where the internal dialogue and the exposition is really bad. Like, and those are the ones that can sometimes be a bit much for me, where people are like fighting. It's like sort of like freezing on their face. They're like, "Oh, he's so strong. If I'm not careful, then I might lose. But if I use my 5th level ability of Water Spike, then perhaps I might be able to throw him off his balance. Oh, just like the master taught me." You know, like there's just a lot of that shit. This seems so over the top. Because when the guy's like, "Oh, a vampire's weakness is cold and lightning spells," never has come up in the show up to this point. Vampires haven't existed until this point. So to think that cold and lightning are the things that will affect a vampire, I'm like, oh, really? Why?
Right.
Why would that be the case? You know?
In all of vampire lore, we've never,
Yeah, I didn't know that. D-Bug goes, 10 out of 10 acting skills. Funimation, hire these two for the dubs. You know it. I actually liked how you changed over to a professional wrestler halfway through. I thought that was a really good choice. It made it much more fun. That was really well done. Yeah, it was. I still have at least one more of Bastard. And I just found out today there's like 12 more episodes. So I've got more homework to do. I will suffer so you can smile.
You'll suffer for our,
Yeah, I'll do it.
I just want to remember what the, what was the line that changed me over?
Yeah, what was it? It was
because it was such a wrestling line.
It really was. I think it was, "What a dumbass." Maybe that was it, or was it oh no, there's only one universal law in a fight between two men.
Oh, it was the "let me tell you." As soon as I saw "let me tell you," I was like, "Let me tell you, brother." Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, it was really well done. And there was just so much, I don't know, man. There's just so much crazy shit in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this, I think I thought of it because I'm like, oh, they're casting spells. Whenever they're casting spells, I'm like, this has got to be Justin casting the spell because he's got to say the words. He's got to give the description as to why it's happening and tell us all and do it in a very serious tone of, you know, being in the character. And it brings me much joy. So
good.
It was really good. Slotty says, that wrestler voice seems like it'd fit perfectly on a barbarian. I think you're right, Slotty. I think you're right.
Oh, my.
We'll see. Absolutely see.
Well, you have a lot of water ready.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, this segment of Anime Out of Context. If you have some anime out of context that you would like Justin and I to read, send us a message on our social media at MyGet Podcast. You can join our Discord. We have an Anime Out of Context channel down there. You can put that in there. The only thing we ask is that you do have to write out the script. And you do have to credit where it came from. The episode. This is actually season 1, episode 9, called Blue Nail of Bastard. So just, decide which one of us is going to be reading what, and then, give us a little bit of direction, and then we'll take it and we'll run with it. We've had one fan submitted, a segment of this from Slotty from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which was a delight because for the first time I had no idea what was going to happen. So just made it fun. So it's always a delightful thing when we get to do Bastard.
It's something. Yeah.
It's something. Whew. All right, Justin, what do you got to recommend for this week?
Oh, well, I'm going to recommend, I can't remember if I've recommended this in the past, but because the new season is out, I'm going to recommend it again. Harley Quinn on HBO Max. It's a wildly fun show if you want to talk about some wonderful voice acting. Kaylee Cuoco is Harley Quinn. Oh my God, I just blanked on her name. Hold on. I will find it.
Mel Gibson.
Yep. Lake Bell is, she plays Poison Ivy. And there's just a slew of some other fun. Tony Hale plays Dr. Psycho. Christopher Maloney plays James Gordon. It's just Dietrich, what's his name? The guy from Drew Carey show. He plays Batman. Jason Alexander's in there. Like it's just fun. There's a lot of cool people. The guy who plays Bane is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Bane is he's a infant, and his lines this entire season, he's worried about he gave a pasta maker as a gift for a wedding, and the wedding got called off. And his goal is to get the pasta maker back, and he'll stop at nothing. And it's just, it's wonderful.
Give me the pasta maker.
It was meant as a gift, and the wedding did not take place.
That voice
deserve it back.
always brings me joy. There's a spell in Dungeons and Dragons called Bane, and I've been listening to a lot of Critical Role lately, and someone goes, I cast Bane, and they're like,
You cast Bane. Yes. Now we'll see what happens next.
and the people automatically go into the Bane voice whenever they do that, and it just brings me such delight. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
It's R-rated for sure, and it's just wonderful fun. So I would say it's in season 3 right now. Don't know how far they're going with it, but it's just a fun watch. It's something silly and fun to have on in the background, and it'll make you laugh. So that's why.
Considering how HBO's handling its animated shows, it may not last long. It may get nuked.
Absolutely.
With no notice whatsoever. For me this week, I would actually like to recommend once again Critical Role, right? This new underground show. I've been pausing almost all of my other podcasts to catch up. I kind of took a break from it from campaign 3 for a little while. I was just sort of like D&D'd out and whatever. And then I saw something popped up on Critical Role spoilers. I don't know what happened, but I think something devastating happened. I'm like, all right, I better get caught up here and see what's going on. And it's just magical listening to Matthew Mercer and the rest of the gang just do their stuff. I think I sent you like a time code to listen to.
I forgot you sent that. I didn't get a chance to listen to that yet.
It's amazing how they can go from serious to just complete debauchery in just a very short amount of time. And it was so much fun. And my favorite thing is when that happens is watching Matthew Mercer just go, oh, he just watches. That's because everyone just yes ands and like, oh yeah, and they just pile on. He's just like, God damn it, like,
God damn it, we're so far off base.
If you realize what I've created for the show, you realize what I've made. I've built sets for you to play on, and you guys are talking about jerking off. Like, that's the best. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Critical Role. You know where to find it. It's on wherever you find podcasts. It's on YouTube channel. They also have Twitch. They live stream on Thursdays of their stuff. So if you're curious about D&D, never done it before, as far as I'm concerned, those are some of the pros right there. If you want to get a good handle on how it's done. Also, keep in mind, if you watch that and then you play for the first time, it's not going to be that. So lower your expectations. Okay. So don't go too crazy, because that is like professionally done how they do it. But it's a lot of fun and really kind of like gives you an idea of at least how to play the game, rules and things like that. So I found it incredibly useful as I was playing, as I'm building stuff. So very cool. Please don't forget to follow us on all our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/MindGapPodcast. We live stream our podcast episodes on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central, the new time. And I host the video game stream on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. It's going to be a Jackbox Games this Saturday, so be sure to tune in for that and join along and play along with us. And also don't forget to follow Justin online as well.
On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, not iTunes, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Good Pods, all the places where you find and consume podcasts. You'll find us. Share us around, like, subscribe, rate, review, all those things. The big one we love is sharing. Let people know we exist. It's like Tinkerbell. If you believe in us, clap and we'll get stronger. Something like that. Just share us. Let people know we exist. And then 2east8th.com and 2east8th on all social media. And again, please tomorrow go to loveandimprovfilm.com, loveandimprovfilm.com, and check out all the information on our upcoming feature film. You'll also find a link on there to our Seed and Spark campaign. That is a crowdfunding website for independent filmmakers. And you can go and contribute as little or as much as you want. We have some wonderful contribution prizes there. Anything from a special thank you shout out on social media to you might get a walk-on role. If you donate, you get $1,000. You get a child. Slotty right there. We'll give you one of his kids if you donate $1,000. You heard it right here. So please check that out. And push us on social media. Love and Improv Film on Instagram as well. Please follow that. So,
hell yeah.
There you go.
Something exciting. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to helping out with promoting that and seeing that come to life.
Yeah.
Let's bring it to life, baby. Well, with that being said, Justin, I want to say thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
You all have a dandy fucking week.
Yes, a dandy week.
Mind Gap Podcast.